Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm talking about natal sun opposite to the moon. So, when you have your natal sun opposite to your moon, they are in opposition, you were born on the full moon. So, there really is an aspect of fullness to the personality and to the life. It tends to be a busy life with lots going on, especially to do with relationships. That's one of the main differences between the sun and the moon being square and the sun and the moon being in opposition, is that a lot of the challenges in one's life will appear to be coming from the external with the opposition. Now, that's not always going to be the case if we end up having some self awareness here, which, watching a video like this or even studying astrology can, of course, be really insightful. So, with this opposition, there tends to be a very attractive personality. They're very charismatic. They have an ability with people, or at least I feel they have an ability with people because of their oppositional forces within. So their outer self, their personality, their ego, their light, how they shine, their confidence, where they're going in life, their purpose. The sun is in an opposite sign to the moon, which is their emotions, their inner self, how they feel, their inner feminine, their reactions, their childhood, their inner child. So they have this really good ability to understand opposing forces in others. So, they can understand all sides of an issue, which can sometimes lead to indecision. We could see this with the sun opposite the moon being, really having a hard time sticking to one thing or sticking to one relationship, even sometimes. Or we can't, and we can also see this too when the chart is actually the seesaw formation. So there's like a chart formation where you have sun opposing moon, but then maybe you have a bunch of other planets in opposition. It doesn't always have to be sun, moon included, but often it can be where you have like the seesaw personality, because you can really see things from all sides, and you're able to kind of get both perspectives, which can obviously be a really good thing. These people can be really good with working with people and being able to understand the other side, and so it can be really helpful in any type of relationships with people, like in the one-on-one sense, like working with them, like mediation, understanding what's going on the other side and being able to put it in perspective. And then so it is a gift, but personally is where these people can struggle the most. They're often very successful in the outer world because they're driven, they're motivated, and there's a lot of charisma, and there is like a power. I mean, you think about the full moon, and every time, think about anybody when there's a full moon out, and everybody's like, oh my god, it's a full moon. Like, even if you don't do astrology, everybody will be literally like, oh my god, look at the moon, right? The moon is captivating. It's like, it's beautiful, and it's this bright, attractive thing that we can't help but notice, right? It's actually, I mean, we look at the moon when it's full, and we look right at it, and we want to just take that in, and we really gain like beauty out of that. Whereas like you can't look directly at the sun. I don't know why I thought of that. That's just kind of random. But I really do feel like the way that people look at a full moon and like how captivating that is a really good way of thinking about people with the sun opposing the moon, because they have that same effect on people. And they might not even realize that they have this, but I mean, they probably can see when people notice them and people are attracted to them, and like the way that they move in life is similar to the full moon. Now, you also want to think about the full moon and like the saying of like, the lunatic, right? Which I believe that comes from the full moon, where, it is known, it is even scientifically known that like when there's a full moon, more crazy stuff is happening in the world, and people tend to act in kind of crazy ways. So the full moon person is all of this. It's a really representative of them, right? Now, in certain signs, obviously they're going to be more chill, right? Like if we have, you know, the moon in an earth sign or something, or but then you've got the sun in in a water sign, right? If you have this opposition, so it does tend to bring out like pretty crazy behavior in people, but like they can keep it under control to a certain extent, but then they often will have major life crisis at many points in their life. So it can be relational. It can be that these people have a lot of relationship problems. And they might be exceptionally good at helping others in relationships. Like if they could be even like a couples counselor or something like that, because that's actually a really good use of the sun in opposition to the moon, because of, like I said, like mediation, like being able to see both sides and stuff like that. But then in their own relationships, there's this massive blind spot, and they're definitely is meant to be learning. So you don't want to feel bad about it if you're going through a separation, or you have this aspect and you've had many failed relationships. Like that's kind of the nature of this aspect, where you are meant to learn about relationships. You might need to have a few in order to learn, and that's okay. And there is kind of a difficulty here inherent in this opposition with relationships. And so you're meant to have some difficulties, and not that you can't break out of them, but like I feel like people with this opposition, they do often feel like, why can't I just have it easy in relationships, or why can't I just have like my true soulmate or whatever? Why is there so many challenges? Why do I keep attracting these assholes? Or like they can really not understand it, because it's kind of like when they're in their unawareness, they don't realize that it's their inner tension, it's their inner oppositional force, right? Their two main bright lights in their personality are opposite. So that leads to difficulties in relating with the opposite sex. However, it is easier than the square, because we have more in common with opposite signs than we do with square signs. So there is likely to be a resolve here. There is likely going to be a soulmate relationship that does work, that does last, but it might take a little bit of self-awareness first, and a few that are quite challenging. And that's also how they become the experts in relationships that they're really meant to become, or at least I feel like they're really meant to become with this full moon chart, the sun opposite to moon in the natal chart. So often when we're talking sun moon aspects, it is descriptive of the parents' relationship. I've even read that it's like when we have this opposition, the parents at conception time were not in harmony, or they were somehow opposites. Even going that far back, some astrologers would say that. But I think it's likely that in the childhood, the parents were very different, or probably not as different as with the square though, but like they definitely gave some confusing messages to the child about how to be and how to act, right? And you can really get a description of that by studying the signs that the sun and moon are in, right? And the sun is of course representative, sorry, of the father, right? And the moon is representative of the mother. So we can really get the idea of like the mixed messages that the child received and what they're trying to resolve here. So it is common for men with the sun opposite to moon to pick women who are the moon and then kind of disown or project that only onto relationships. And then on the same hand here, women often can project the sun onto relationships and, really experience that. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule. It could actually switch, but there is often what was that word? Projection? Sorry. My brain is like a fart today. Um, Anyways, yeah, so there's often a lot of that going on. And yeah, it's usually very obvious to the outside world that this is happening, but less obvious to them that they're doing this. So I think really studying the sun and the moon placement and making a conscious effort, like even meditating on them and being like, okay, how can I really be and embody both of these signs? Right? Because once you do that, then the issue is resolved, and that's when you're going to get everything that you're looking for, right? Now, it's still going to be a life of activity. It is busy. I mean, think about when the full moon is out. Like, this is the time. It's a full moon right now. That's why I wanted to do this video today, too. We're having our full moon lunar eclipse tomorrow in Virgo, so it is a full moon right now. And yeah, so I felt like I'm going to do this video first today. Uh, but yeah, you think about when the moon is full, and it is a time of activity. It is a time of romance, right? There is a real relational energy of the full moon, but it also can be a time of restlessness and anxiousness, and also, needing to drink more water. And, there can be definitely a lot of emotional storms happening. So this person is usually uh, very adept, or at least they become adept at dealing with the emotional storms of life. They can end up being kind of like I said, a counselor or even like a guide for others, because they really end up, because of their own crisis that they have, being kind of like the expert on emotions, or being kind of like the expert around relationships, because they've had to go through it and it hasn't been easy for them. This is not an easy opposition to have in your chart, because it's such a it's such a difference in like the core of your personality. So it can really cause self-doubt. There can be shame. There can be shame around our emotions and how we feel and the intensity of them. We can feel like we maybe don't fit into this world, which, has a lot of emotional repression. And the person with the sun opposite the moon is a very emotional person, unless they've managed to project that or repress it. There's a lot of feeling here. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of sentimentality and emotionality and everything. Like, they really actually are a very intense person who has a hard time taking things lightly in any way. There's a real fullness in everything, right? So, with that, though, there is a great gift for creativity, which they might not realize as they struggle with their issues in relationships and in life with their fluctuating energy levels. That's another part of it, too. But they really do have an amazing creativity, and that's another aspect of this fullness. And they really do have more energy for romance and for relationships. And they they might not realize this because of the struggles they've gone through, but like, they have a great capacity to manifest their dreams and manifest their dream relationship and their dream life in every way, because of this fullness and their ability to just feel, right? Like, feelings are a manifestation power. And because this person feels everything so deeply and intensely, they actually have great manifestation power. And, this is why I said, like, they can be some of the most successful people. They can be famous even because of that allure, that attractiveness. I mean, these are some of the most attractive people out there. And it's not attractiveness like Venus, which is like beauty. This is attractiveness based on like an actual personality that is inviting and alluring, right? Because the sun and the moon are like the two basic building blocks of personality. So it's not an attraction like Venus or Mars. It's not really a sexual energy. It's like an attractive personality that draws people in, but not just for relationships like business partnerships or, yeah, in some cases, even fame or recognition in some way. So it's really crucial for these people to work on their confidence because there is this ability to manifest and attract. So it's almost like worse if we're struggling with low self esteem or self doubt or anxiety, and we don't act on our dreams because it's like we do know there's this restlessness and there's like so much potential that it can be very depressing for them to not be living up to this in their life because they know they have this big destiny and they know this is like this full moon life. Like, this is it. Like, this is a big one. They came into this body from their soul, like going into their human body, and they were like, I am going to do big, great things. And it really it depresses them when they are not doing this. So it's crucial to have self-worth, work on self-love, and really understand the sun and moon forces and how to equally express them without putting one to the side, so that they can really allow their fullness of their being to really come through. And I know I've said the word fullness like so many times, but uh, that's the word for you people. So yeah, anyways, very interesting people. It's a big lifetime. Like I said, they came with big challenges, but they came to really do a lot. It's an active life and it's a relationship lifetime. There won't be escaping, there won't be hermiting. I would be very surprised to know if there was. And that's all part of it. That's all part of the learning and the lessons that they came here to resolve. So it's a big one. I'd love to know your experience of this natal aspect. If you have it in your natal chart, or if you know someone, you're with someone, I'd love to know your experience of being with them or knowing them. It's a really interesting one, like I've said. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. Thank you for your requests. Keep those requests coming, and we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.